Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's sneak peek webinar, Revamping the Basics, 40 Ways to Elevate Your Operations. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to dial in. We're going to wait another 30 seconds before we really dive into our material to let a few more people just connect. We'll get started here shortly. Stay tuned. Once again, welcome everybody to today's sneak peek webinar, Revamping the Basics, 40 Ways to Elevate Your Operations. I'm Clark Ebert. I'm the Director of Conference Education at the National Apartment Association, and I'm your host for this afternoon's webinar. Today, we are just 1 month out from CampusConnex, formerly known as NAA's Student Housing Conference. In 1 month, we'll be meeting in Orlando, Florida, on the 13th and 14th of February for a really exciting event entirely focused on purpose-built off-campus student housing. Today's sneak peek webinar is just one of 16 sessions that will be featured. We thought we would have our subject matter experts dial in today to give you a glimpse of some of the really great content that you can look forward to in Orlando. If you haven't yet made plans to meet us there, you can register following this link. It's https://www.nahq.org/campusconnex/register. Now, don't panic, that's a lot of information. The good news is that today's entire webinar is being recorded and it will be posted to our website in the next few days. Because you registered for the event, you'll get a follow-up email with a link to the recording. So you will have all the details from today's broadcast at your fingertips. You don't even have to take notes. You can just sit back and relax. And with that, I will introduce you to today's experts. I was looking at bios a little earlier today, and it turns out that these experts have a cumulative experience of more than 65 years in the business, which is pretty stellar, and it's something that we'll be able to benefit from this afternoon. First, we have Melinda Farmer, who's a regional vice president with CampusConnex Communities. She's been there for the last 14 years, overseeing a portfolio of properties in the U.S. and Canada. Melinda has worked in student housing for 26 years, both on campus in residence halls and apartment complexes, and in privatized student housing. Her expertise is in budgeting and operations. Next up is Holly Golubiowski, but she tells us we can just call her Holly G. And Holly is the Vice President of Operations at Homestead U. She's responsible for company operations, including financial performance, marketing, leasing, training, customer service, and human resources. With 17 years of experience in the industry, Holly has a passion for growing, coaching, and leading teams. Next on our docket is Eric Orsbun, who's a Regional Vice President of Operations at BMOC. He has 15 years of experience in property management, as well as years experience as a realtor and a bachelor's degree in business finance, real estate. His specialties are recruiting, hiring, new construction lease-up properties, troubled properties, collections, staff management, operations, and maximizing ROI. And last but not least is Heather Sizemore, who's VP of University Relationships at University Student Living. She has over 17 years of experience in all aspects of student housing operations, including extensive on and off campus privatized student housing management. Heather's expertise lies in creating infrastructures and operational efficiency. Good afternoon, experts. How are you today? Everybody good? You'll notice that Melinda and Holly are dialing in from their cars this afternoon, which just sort of attests to the pace of the student housing operations job market. These guys are literally on the road, and they've taken time in their busy travel schedule to dial in today. So thanks, everybody. Heather, why don't you give us a little overview of what we might expect today?
Hi, thanks, Clark. And thanks for joining, everyone. I actually live in Orlando. I'm here in my home office today. I'm very lucky. And I can't wait to welcome everyone to my hometown. And hopefully you guys see the sunshine peeking through. Praying for good weather, a nice little warm break for most people traveling in. But today we're going to do a quick overview, a little sneak peek about some of the things that you're going to see and hear about in our session next month, as Clark described, and each one of us are going to take a little turn. But some of the topics that we're each going to cover, we each have our own. And today, Holly's going to talk about leadership. Melinda is going to talk about turnover. Eric is going to share some of his best tips and ideas for some of the challenges associated with operating our smaller properties under 200 beds. And then I'm going to come back and wrap up at the end with some of my best and favorite things that I've seen overall in 2017 to share with the group. So we are going to turn it over to Holly to get started on some leadership items. Holly?
Thank you, Heather. And I'd like to apologize if anybody hears trucks whizzing past my car right now. It is a little bit of an interesting place to be parked here. So with that, I will get started. One of the things I'm going to be talking about in this session at the conference is leadership. I think that leadership is a key and basic piece of our business that is often overlooked. I think we all want to think about policies, procedures, processes, and that's really what we want to hone in when we think about being a better company, or fixing a property that's behind, or a portfolio. But in reality, leadership is really where it starts. That is the key. And I think hiring not only the right people is important, but focusing on growing those people to be better leaders is also a key piece that we can focus on to improve. We often want to think in black and white when it comes to people. And I think that people aren't black and white. So I think that one of the first things you have to think about is making sure you train your supervisors to lead. You'll notice here, a wise person once said, the best plan will fail with a poor leader, but a good leader will make a poor plan succeed. I think this is extremely important. We make a whole lot of plans in our industry, marketing plans and budget plans and plans for the plans and calls for the plans, but none of those will work without proper execution, and execution will not occur with the right team and the right leader to motivate that team. So a lot of times we want to jump in and think, okay, price, product, promotion, people. And in reality, most of what we do is black and white, but people is the least from black and white. Questions to think about as a good leader and to really think differently, to go back to the basics, I think is, okay, are the people right or wrong? And if you think, they're wrong, okay, why? And that's where it is gray, and it's not black and white anymore. Were they trained properly? Are they properly motivated? Maybe the leader that's directing them isn't a good fit. Did we give them the tools that they need to really do well in this role? So I think it is extremely important that you are really thinking about those things, and that you're training your supervisors and your supervisors from the top down to make sure that they are leading and thinking through those things when they're trying to lead the teams and think about if their teams are right or wrong. Next slide, Clark. Leading ultimately starts with you. You'll note here the quote. I love quotes. Before you are a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. What's interesting about this one is I have a surprise for everyone, every single person on this call, and it is that you are not a perfect leader. None of us are. And I think that as a leader and a leader of leaders, we all think, oh yeah, I'm up here and I've gotten here for a reason, and we forget to continue to educate ourselves. I think that also, as a property manager or a regional manager, a vice president of operations, an owner, an investor, whatever level you're at, you need to acknowledge that you also need to continue to improve and focus on educating yourself. And if you get that right, then that's when you can truly continue to build great leaders below you as well. so that they recognize that and you recognize it, and you all continue to focus on becoming a student to your leadership skills. Next slide, Clark. Be aware of overload. Again, another quote that I love: the best executive is one who has a sense enough to pick good men to do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. I think this is so true for student housing. I think that you get behind, or you have a reputation issue, whatever your problem may be, everybody wants to jump in and suddenly be a cook in the kitchen. And we hire leaders for a reason to do what they need to do. And it's very important to really think, okay, let's stop. We've made plans and plans of the plans, and not think about reinventing the wheel, but is it an execution issue? Look at your team, talk with them, truly understand what they've done, have they done it, versus jumping in and trying to get them to do another plan, a new plan, rework a plan, have extra calls, have extra emails, extra updates. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we were afraid we lost you. But you
I'm here. I am sorry. I am sorry.
That's okay. Good recovery.
Oh, you know, technology is great when it works, right? All right. So just my point that I was making there is that it's important to trust in your leaders. Trust that you have trained them to do what they need to do. And when you fall behind, it is not always smart to take immediate action and reinvent the wheel. We all want to feel like we've done something to solve the problem, and that makes us feel better. But a good leader recognizes when to not overload the team and when to just stop, breathe, and ask, okay, what can we tweak with the current system, versus jumping to action and making everybody exhausted and overwhelmed. Next slide, Clark. All right, the power of positivity. And my final quote here: outstanding leaders will go out of their way to boost the self-esteem of their personnel. If people believe in themselves, it's amazing what they can accomplish. I truly believe in this. I think that it is so easy when you start falling behind as, again, an owner, an investor, a manager, the manager of a management company, a regional, you know, the property manager. We all want to jump to conclusions. You want to place blame. You want to find a reason, because it feels better when we know what the problem is exactly, right? We want to be able to say, here's the problem, we're going to solve it, jump to action. And it's also very easy to get frustrated, to yell, to lose your temper, to bark out, I need 50 leases tomorrow. But if you step back from that, a true leader really continues to hone in and focus and motivate their team on what's good. What are they doing well? Because beating them down, telling them things that they're not doing right, will only demotivate them more. And that will totally kill your chances of success. So it is really important as a leader to just breathe. And occasionally there's going to be bad days. It happens. Acknowledge you will never recover in 24 hours. We all want to. We would love to, but that's just not going to happen. So these are some of the things I'm going to talk about at the conference. Some more things that I will share are specific tips and tricks on how you can really implement these ideas. And I look forward to sharing more there. And that's all I have, Clark.
Holly, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Holly has to wave goodbye, Holly. Holly's got to go drop her colleague off at the airport. She's calling from the parking lot at the airport. Holly, we appreciate your dedication. Thank you so much.
Yep,
Drive safe. And next up, we have Melinda Farmer, who is also she's automotively based at the moment. How you doing, Melinda?
I'm doing good, and I apologize for background noise. I'm sitting in the parking lot of a truck stop, and there's 18-wheelers around me and people walking by. So I want to talk to you all today a little bit about what you're going to see at the conference in the way of some tips and tricks to make turnover the best possible way it can be. I know that this is probably one of the most stressful times for any organization, is when they have to do that turn time, either in May or in August, depending on your leasing cycle. So I'm going to just cover 3 or 4 things that you can do to make that as least stressful as possible and have the best possible outcome. The first thing we're going to talk about is organization and how to organize your plan. And that's one of the most important things, because all of the time you spend planning beforehand and organizing what's going to happen in those critical 2 or 3 weeks is crucial. I oversee properties in Canada. Up there, we historically have about 5 days to turn a building. So organizing is crucial, knowing who your vendors are, knowing who your backup vendors are, knowing exactly how many numbers have to be accomplished each day as far as cleans and paints and make-readies, carpet cleaning, final walks. It's crucial that you have a plan down for what's going to get accomplished that day, and that plan is worked every day and completed, or you're not going to finish. So one of the things we'll be talking about is 5 or 6 tips or tricks to organize those days and to get the most out of them. Clark, next slide, please. The second thing that we're going to talk about today, and that will really be highlighted in the presentation in Orlando, is vendor accountability. And how do you hold those vendors accountable on a daily basis for making the numbers you need them to make, for accurately billing you, for knowing what they're supposed to do that day, and not going rogue and just saying, well, I think I should do this day. I don't care what you say. The best way to do that I have found in 26 years of doing this is to have assignment sheets in the morning. We'll talk a lot about what those sheets are going to look like and what they'll contain. But meet with the vendors in the morning, give them their assignment sheets, go over expectations. At midday, when they take their lunch break, have the supervisor from that vendor come in, turn in their sheets from the morning so that you can make sure that they're on track to meet their quota for the day. Talk to them about any challenges they're having, solve any problems, and move on through the rest of the day. We'll talk about what that meeting structure should also look like. And then we'll talk a little bit about what the end of the day meeting should look like to make sure that you're really getting set to hit the ground running the next morning. So when you're talking about vendor accountability, it's going to be not only making sure they're getting the job done, but making sure they're getting the job done in the quality, manner, and in the time frame that you need it done in, because ultimately you're the boss, they are not. Clark, next slide, please. The third thing is going to be talking a lot about the final inspections and inspect what you expect them to do. So making sure that there's that accountability factor there, so that at the end of the 3 weeks or the 2 weeks or however long you have, you're not all of a sudden saying, oh, I'm going to do 100 quality walks today and 90 of those quality walks aren't right. That's going to be a problem. So inspecting what you expect takes into account both doing unit walks on a daily basis, which is going to go back to number 2, which was that midday meeting. And we're going to talk about what that kind of schedule for the day would look like if you're doing unit walks off of those midday reports, and what the end of the day is going to look like. It's going to talk about a little bit about daily billing and making sure your vendors are billing you on a daily basis, and auditing those bills against your vendor sheets to make sure that you're not being overbilled or underbilled. And then we're going to talk about auditing your keys and what that looks like as far as turnover, and then how that sets the pace for move-in. So there's a lot of things that are going to go into looking at the things that you can do to make turnover easier and better for you and your staff. Clark? And then number 4, we're going to talk about Plan B, Plan C, and Plan D. Because if you just have Plan A, you don't have a plan. Because there are so many things that can happen with Plan A. Vendors can get into a cat fight. They can not show up for work. There can be a strike. There are so many things that Plan A can fall through. You have to have a Plan B. Plan B is good to have. It's great to have. You have to have it. But you also have to have a Plan C, because Plan B may not work out, because it is Plan B. So, make sure that you have enough backup plans, that everything can be sustained and you can keep to your time frame. And we're going to talk in number 4 in the conference a little bit about tips and tricks for making that happen, and how to secure those plans so that when you need them, they're there. That's all I have for today. There will be a lot more in the conference. I really encourage y'all to sign up for the conference and come, and we look forward to seeing you there. Clark,
Linda,
thank
I love that you're that your content is so practical and actionable, and clearly calling in from the car today was a plan B, because I know that you missed a flight and that you waited to rebook until you were able to join us on the webinar today. So we're really thankful. Like, thank you so much for your dedication. You're awesome.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing y'all in Orlando.
Yeah, me as well. I owe you a drink at the bar. Next up is Eric Orsman, who is going to talk about some considerations for companies that have smaller properties. Hey, Eric.
Sure. Hello. Thanks everybody. Again, Eric Orsman with BMOC. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, because I'm going to give you most of probably 80–90% of my bullet points that I'll be covering at the conference. You're not going to get as much depth behind them and as much in-depth content, but I'm going to give you all the bullet points pretty much today. So I'm going to go through this pretty quick. I want to give you guys a lot of content. I appreciate you guys joining today. So these tips and ideas, they're focused on operating small properties, but they can be applied to any size property. So if you don't have small properties, don't tune out. You're going to get some good ideas here. So it's slide 1 here, grassroots marketing. So it's time to get creative with your marketing. If you have a small property that's 200 beds or less, have a property that's 120 beds, and you've got to get creative. You're not throwing thousands of dollars at ILS services, so you don't have that luxury. So what I mean by grassroots marketing, it's what we used to do before the internet. And so it's face-to-face, it's shaking hands, it's getting out there, meeting people on campus. The different departments you can visit on campus, the housing department, if the school has their own housing, you still want to make friends with them. You're their competition, but you want to be friendly with them. And if that property on campus fills, you want them to refer people to your property. I've had a school one time that said, we can't refer people to you. We've just got to give them this list. It's a state requirement. But we developed that relationship, and students, once they started filling, they were coming to us and telling us the housing department had referred them over. So even if they're not supposed to refer people to you, if you show them that you're treating residents right and you're operating a nice property, they may still refer them to you. Meet the people in the admissions, student life, international department, graduate student departments, any programs that might start and end on odd dates that are different from the traditional class dates. We have a program that starts in June and goes through, some odd dates. So those people are sometimes looking for housing at different times if you have some vacancies in the middle of the semester. Are there internship programs in the area that might need housing? So some non-students you might bring in during the summer, or students that are doing internships during the summer. So call and meet local businesses, Chamber of Commerce. Another idea for grassroots marketing, can you set up a table on campus at orientation or other events? Have you asked? Sometimes we think you can't do it, but we haven't even asked. Be sure you hire staff that can do grassroots marketing. You have to have the right people. If they're timid, if they're not okay with going out and making these contacts, it doesn't matter what what kind of marketing plan you have. If they're not actually going to do it, you've got to have the right people. Think about your commissions. Are they enticing to your staff? Are they motivating for them to get out and hustle and not just sit and wait for the phone to ring? All right, you can go to the next slide there, Clark. Okay, free digital marketing. I should have called this free or low-cost digital marketing. So can you get student email lists from the college or university? Again, have you asked? We had a school that told us no and told us no, and eventually we had them figure out that, oh yeah, they actually did have the ability to do that. And nobody else in that market knows that. We had to convince the school, so we're the only one that gets student lists at a good-sized university. You also have Facebook and other social media, but Facebook and organic, both organic and boosted posts. Those are different from Facebook ads, which those can be effective as well. You can really target those, but boosted posts, it's an organic post, but you can pay a small price, $3, $5, and boost that, and it goes out to a larger market. It shows up in more people's feeds, and you can really get a lot of views, a lot of likes, a lot of shares for very, very small cost. Also, the social media video. So video is what gets people's eyeballs, and it's what gets likes and what gets shares. So video inside your property. I mean, if you look on social media, there's a Facebook list of your amenities. that's not interesting, but a video, a walkthrough of the amenities are, a video of resident events, a drone flyover video. Those are really popular right now. And you find a photography student at the school who will do it very inexpensively. You may have someone on your staff that has a drone and they're looking for an excuse to use it that might just do it at virtually no cost to the property. Think about your website, because that's there selling your property 24/7. Does it sell your property well? Was it set up 3 years ago and nobody's looked at it since? You know, make sure it's up to date. Does it have some videos, some virtual tour on it so you can really see inside the property? Okay, and you can go to the next slide there, Clark. So the next item here, vendor negotiation. So having a smaller property, you don't have as much leverage and as much negotiating power if you have a 150-bed property versus having a 1,000-bed property. So, you know, the biggest piece here is try to piggyback on the vendors that the school uses. Their trash pickup service is already there. You know, if your property is very close to the school, it's already there 3 days a week, 2 days a week, what have you. Their internet service provider is already there. Ask for the same rate that the school gets, because they've already bid that. You know, a school or university bids those things out, so you can be confident with the pricing you're getting. If they'll give you the same price that they gave to the school, that's huge. Meet with vendors face to face. Again, back to grassroots. Show them, hey, I've got a nice property here. It's gonna make money. It's gonna be able to pay my bills, but it's not huge. Okay, next slide, Clark. So evaluating operational needs, so balancing all this out, managing it, balancing office hours and staffing coverage, customer service. You're going to have less staff in a larger property, but you still have the same general expectations for your business hours. You know, so what do you do? So one thing I'd say is, do you need to open your offices at 8 a.m.? And the answer is no, you don't. I wouldn't. Don't open your offices until 10 a.m. Students aren't renting apartments or coming in for packages before 10 a.m. If they're up that early, it's because they have an early class and that they had to take. So don't spread yourself across the day so thin. Start later. You know, be prepared for times when only one person is working. Have a little sign, be back at a certain time that you can put up. Have another little sign that says, out on the property, please call for assistance, and have a cell phone number, maybe a Google Voice number, so people aren't having to use their personal cell phone numbers. So if it's one person there and they go on a tour, or they have to go do some unit inspections, when somebody shows up, they can call them and they can nosy right back up to the front desk. Utilize your CAs to help vacuum and clean the halls. You have other properties nearby that can cross-train while someone is out. So those are some things to think about when kind of balancing staff and covering the front desk with a smaller staff and a smaller property.
Hey, thanks so much, Eric. I really appreciate it. That was quite a bit, and I'm curious to know what you have to share in Orlando. And
Sure.
Last but not least, in any way, shape, or form, is Heather Sizemore, who is Heather was one of the first people I made contact with when I started at NAA 4 years ago, and she has been a huge ally and a great resource for me. So anyway, it's really nice to join you 4 years later here, Heather. We're a little short on time, so I'm going to ask you to go skinny.
No problem. So my section, I'm talking about some of the best things that I've seen in 2017, and that's covering any genre or facet of student housing. And so the first thing I'm going to touch on is amenity makeovers. How do you take an older property and have it compete with something that's new and shiny and the latest and greatest in the market? And this is one example that I'll go through and show. And this is not one of my properties. This is something that I saw touring a property, which I love doing, going across the country. So we'll get into details in Orlando about what this was and what they transformed it into. Next, I'm going to talk about the latest in website design. If you haven't heard of SPA, or scrolling page architecture, think of it as a web page just like you would use on your mobile device looking through social media, and your thumb just goes up and up and up and down and down and down. That's what a scrolling page website is. Everything's loaded on one page, and it provides a better end user experience, and it's also going to give you better results, performance on your website as well. We'll go into some of those details. Also, we're going to talk about the evolution of package lockers, still relatively new, but a lot of progress has been made in 2017. You know, have lockers that can be 100% outdoors. You've got lockers that are refrigerated for all of those food and flower deliveries. You've got lockers that can be completely customized for branding. If you're not in the package locker amenity space yet, you're definitely missing out going into 2018. And then finally, for this, we're going to talk about smart apartments. And again, it's been out for more than a couple years, but 2017, smart apartments really became a reality. They're affordable. We're no longer talking about things from the Jetsons. We're talking about telling Alexa to enter work orders for your residents, and some really cool applications that are out there and are financially feasible for our students. So that and a lot of other really cool things that are here and now in 2017 going into 18.
Alexa's just another person to be able to boss around. Who doesn't want that?
Exactly.
So I'm going to wrap up really quick because we're right at the half-hour mark. I wanted to thank all of our esteemed presenters. Thank you so much for going the extra mile and coming from the four corners of the earth to join us this afternoon. We really appreciate it, and it's making me really excited about the conference that'll be coming up in just a month. I also wanted to remind everybody who's tuned in that you'll get a follow-up email that have a link to the recording of this event, so you'll be able to get to all the details. You'll also notice on your screen that you'll have access to each of the presenters' email addresses, and you're welcome to follow up with them if you like. We hope to see you in Orlando. I wanted to just mention that there's a couple of really cool things that are going to be new this year. First of all, we're in a resort setting, so we're kind of in this little enclave. A short car ride away from big attractions if you want to come early or stay late. But it's going to have a real nice, cozy feel to it, and it's going to be warm in Orlando in February. So we're excited about that. Second thing is that we've added a really big party on Tuesday night that I know I'm really confident that our meeting planners have designed an experience for you that will be exceptional. So there's that to look forward to. And we've also this year added our first structured networking event. We're going to do some speed networking that looks a whole lot like speed dating. So you get to meet 4 or 5 people in a very short span of time and make some new friends. And that's it. So everybody, thanks again for dialing in. If you haven't registered for the conference, we hope you'll do that. For all the presenters who joined us today, we thank you, and I will get you each a drink at the bar when we get to Orlando. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Thanks again.
Thanks, everybody.
Clark.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.